When the Israel-Hamas war started a month ago, Russia was conspicuously measured in its immediate response to the conflict, issuing cautious statements calling for cool heads and a ceasefire. As Israel's assault on the Hamas-governed Gaza Strip has intensified, with over 10,000 Palestinians believed to have now died in the heavily bombarded enclave, Russia has increasingly abandoned its more neutral stance and is becoming openly critical and hostile toward Israel. Russia's initially sober response to the eruption of violence was seen to be a result of the Kremlin carefully weighing up its competing and conflicting interests in the Middle East. Russia has always enjoyed constructive relations with Israel, with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Israel's Premier Benjamin Netanyahu enjoying a close relationship and vowing to deepen Israeli-Russian ties. In recent years, however, Russia has become extremely close with Israel's arch-enemy Iran and has become even more reliant on Tehran since its invasion of Ukraine in 2022, relying on the country, among other rogue states, for weapons, predominantly drones, for use in the war. Against this backdrop, when the Iran-backed militant group Hamas attacked Israel on October 7, seizing over 200 Israeli hostages, Russia was put in an awkward position, not wanting to either overtly criticize Hamas, or defend Israel. As time has gone on, however, Russia has become more critical of Israel's military action, particularly as it starts to step on its own toes, namely, its interests and alliances, in the region, such as the launching of strikes on Russia's ally Syria, a country in which Moscow has military bases and whose leadership it has propped up. Russia is now in the situation where it's harder and harder to maintain that kind of equipoise, according to political analyst, author and academic Mark Galeotti, noting that Russia had calculated that its relations with the likes of Iran and fellow oil producer Saudi Arabia were more strategically and economically valuable than its ties with Israel. When it comes down to it, if you think of who Russia really needs, it needs Iran, not least as a continued source of military materiel, but it also needs Saudi Arabia, because the two of them together can to a large extent dominate oil pricing globally. In that context, it's having to sacrifice Israel. Russia's stance has gradually but dramatically shifted in recent weeks as it has become clear that the conflict is impacting its military and geopolitical interests. As Israel launched airstrikes on several military bases in Syria in October in response to a series of rocket attacks directed toward Israel, Russia's foreign ministry said the strike violated Syria's sovereignty and international law. Later in the month, Russian Foreign Affairs Minister Sergei Lavrov said the strikes were unacceptable,